my blonde pregnant weasel. Okay, folks, look, we have a successful Foundry here, which is good. Good, has been a long time in the coming, but this isn't how it's going to stay forever. But I should imagine I'm going to just fiddle around with it and move it to a permanent location with a small roof over it. But we've had such a magical journey getting here. We'll do a little copper pour now and just, you know, make sure it works and it's as nice as it was to do the drying run for the refractory. And what then I suppose the next time you'll see it will be when it's in the Foundry proper, separate sheddy building, shantytown thing, and what. Yeah, we'll be doing a project then, but for now we'll just, I've got a bucket of scrap copper there which probably wants drying before I get it near any heat, and I'll take you through the journey and show you how this thing's put together, eh? Okay, so I started making this Foundry quite a few months ago, beginning of the year, Easter time I think. I put a video up. I made a little gas foundry, and it was my intention to just build two foundries at the same time, little and large, and have them both multi-fueled, if you like, so I could use oil, waste engine oil, or bottled gas. I don't have much bottled gas, but I quite often get gas bottles, and sometimes I'm lucky enough to get a bit left in them, yeah. So here I am. Initially I put them together in the same way, both of them gas bottles, and use this program industrial foundry lining stuff in the bottom half, which wouldn't have to be handled whilst the foundry's hot, and then in the top half of both of them I used a ceramic wool, which is fine for the gas forge foundry, sorry, but I actually managed to melt it repeatedly with the waste oil. I don't know. It's a different sort of heat, I suppose, isn't it? I think I'm getting much higher temperatures with the waste oil than you could ever get with bottled gas, perhaps. Although I have since put a little blower on my small gas forge foundry, and here we go. There's the blanket. Rated at 1200 degrees C. Yeah, so putting a little blower on my gas foundry has started melting the blanket in that. So maybe I'll put the rammable refractory. Anyway, along the road I started making a few different burners. Here's the first cyclone burner, just for a little dripper going into the cyclone. The rusty bit on the left is the sort of cyclone burn chamber, if you like. This is when it all started, I suppose. The road to what we have now, because quite a few of the times this burner failed to light, but the oil was still lit in the foundry itself, so we'd end up with a cold base of the crucible, not quite getting hot enough to melt the copper. But there was molten copper at the top, yeah. So here it is, not really running properly, just fire everywhere. But another different burner. This one's got a Delavin nozzle, which uses compressed air to pull the oil out of the little bucket, and I was just messing around trying to do it naturally aspirated. This one is more of a torpedo burner, trying to get it to burn in that chamber, again using the Delavin nozzle, this time with a bit of forced draft going through the nozzle. And I made this completely over the top burner assembly. Didn't really change much. I just saw pictures of oil burners, kerosene burners and all the rest, and they look something like this, so I tried making one. Got this running a few times, but more often than not it would end up burning in the foundry. I suppose I could have got the hang of it, but I had to put a lot of heat on the torpedo burner to actually get that hot enough that the oil would burn in there, and it's just too easy to put it out, and too finicky if you want. So I wouldn't recommend that sort unless you. What a lot of people do is have a gas feed going into those burners so they can keep it on gas until everything's red hot and feed the oil in then, which is good. Yeah, if you've got gas, or if you don't mind getting the gas, so it's still a small price to pay for getting the majority of your heat off waste oil, isn't it? Because you'd soon get through your gas bottles running a Foundry like this, wouldn't you? Anyway, it's got a little gate up there so that the blower doesn't put it out on start up. Very nice. And right, after melting the ceramic blanket quite a few times, I started trying to coat it with fire cement. That's what this is. So it's got ceramic wool underneath, because it was just turning it to glass, and then I spent ages waiting for it to dry. It was cracking, so I let it crack and then recoated it and did that several times. Took a fair old while to get it like that, and it was letting it dry naturally, so it didn't crack, or I was trying to stop it cracking anyway. And the end result was, I'm sure you can guess. Either way, I did get a couple of copper melts off this, along the way. Haven't got this one sealed up too well.
Still burning off the puddle of fuel that collected in the bottom. We'll just leave it be for a minute, eh?
Yeah, and here we are. This pretty much brings us up to where we are. The ceramic melted underneath it again, and there's just a big gap with a glassy ceramic on the back of it. Anyway, I ended up replacing this with the rammable top and bottom now. It's quite heavy compared to the blanket, but stuff's pretty robust, and that brings us up to speed, I think, folks. I'll pass myself back over to myself.
Okay, so starting with the fuel tank, this was something I made about a year ago for a waste oil heater in the shed. Pretty handy, just a gas bottle elevated with a neck on it and a rain tight lid. Hose pipe, gate valve, and a 10mm reducer, and then this feeds into with a bit of pipe on it, feeds into another steel pipe that's welded onto this tube. This is some nice carbon steel boiler pipe that Dangerous Dave got us. Another bit, we've got a little restrictor here, so that can close the fan right off for starting. That's quite important because this fan's variable speed, but it still doesn't quite go low enough for starting this thing. It's really easy to over air. That basically cools everything down, doesn't it? And then your oil's not burning. Blower. This is a pretty anemic blower, but it's absolutely fine for this. I think this blower's doing quite well. We should say that after it's after it's melted the copper. Yeah. So originally I had much thicker. Look, there's some of it over there actually. This is the original rammable stuff. I'm really impressed with this. It's not overly heavy. It's kind of dense, but not too dense. Very, very strong stuff. I think this is like broken up ceramic brick or something in here. The aggregate, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But either way, it's very decent lining material, but doesn't insulate overly well. Yeah. So after I decided that I was going to steer clear of the ceramic walls of primary insulation, that stuff is going to be best for going around contours. Rammable Refractory. Good luck getting hold of it if you're looking. This is again come off Dangerous Dave. He's in the industry of stuff that gets hot, and then there's gas bottle holding it all together, and temporarily this bit of blanket around the outside, because the better you can insulate the sort of burning area, the quicker things heat up, easier it is to light, harder it is to accidentally put it out with too much draft or too much oil or anything like that, and it's just a much easier experience. you know, and there's the efficiency side of it all, I suppose. But I'm sure that'll be almost negligible, or maybe not. I don't know. Whatever. Either way, that's not why I've done it. But yeah, if it is more efficient, I'm not going to complain about that. So we've got one big furnace brick standing in ways on the bottom. Let's take that one off as well, so you can see. These do slide out. They need a little bit of wiggling. The corners are sort of poked into the lining there. They will come out, but they're still incredibly hot. Yeah, so I'm not going to pull them out now. You can just about see the outlet from the blower pipe down there. Unless this is the burner section, you know, it was running quite happily without anything on the top of this. This is quite exciting because it, you know, with these nice furnace bricks that I've got, it'll be quite easy now to make a waste oil forge. Yeah. And one of the little ideas, which is why I'm showing you this now, one of the little ideas I've got is just to ditch that top section completely, and that again is lined with derammable refractory material, because the blanket kept melting. Yeah. But one of the ideas that I'm toying around with, which I don't have to commit to, is ditching that top section and just making something bigger to go on top with a door in the front, so I can either put a crucible in or out, or use it as a forge. I don't know. I would quite like to forge with waste oil. I've run out of coal and I don't want to buy any more because it's so bloody expensive at the minute. It's like, you know, 11 quid a bag. It was, I don't know, 7 quid a bag last time I bought some, and that's expensive, isn't it? But yeah, either way, that's that. That's the important bit, the bit that gets hot. Let's fire it back up whilst it's hot, because it's going to be much easier to restart and do a copper melt. this isn't going well. Oh, Jesus. Oh, fuck. Awesome, awesome, awesome. A little bit sketchy there, all down to my own bad planning. Yeah, the lid doesn't reliably fit on there, so when it's spitting out flame, it's a little bit of a mission to get the lid on, and it hadn't fitted on properly. I couldn't get it on properly then, so we ended up scorching a few bits. Even then, just with the stuff blowing out the, that's hot. It's so hot still. Blowing out the side, it started wilting that ceramic blanket, didn't it? Yeah. So what are we saying? They're hammerable. The program stuff is bloody amazing. Basically, is my conclusion. As are these bricks, you know, they've gone back to exactly the same colour they were before. This program is properly fired now. It's nice and white, isn't it? Here's our copper ignits. Yeah, bad planning on my part. Look at the state of this place. I'm fortunate I didn't seriously maim myself, which is one of the reasons you probably won't see this again for a month or two until I get my my little shantytown smelting shed sorted out. I won't do a build video. I'm just going to throw some old fence panels together and see if I can get something usable in there, so I can get forging and casting in the dry. Yeah, I think that's sensible. Might put a little light in there or something as well. Yep, yeah. I'm very aware of the danger. Like, you know, every time I'm about to pull this apart and get the pot out, or any foundry, I'm, you know, a few little quick nightmares about tipping that crucible full of copper over onto my welly bobs. I mean, these are Dunlop boots. They're good boots, but I don't think they'll take a couple of litres of copper. There's still quite a bit in there. My mould's got to fill up. But success, because it was all molten this time, yeah. And it's on part throttle most of the time anyway. I could have really cranked it up. I haven't maxed this thing out, not by a long shot. Yeah, we'll get a better setup. Obviously, I'm not one for polishing my ingots, but I know how you lot like it, so give me a minute and I'll shine a couple of them up. Oh, treasure! Alright, so yeah, there you go. You got your shine up. That's as much as you're getting out of me. It's kind of pointless. Like I'm doing this to be able to sort of measure things out, you know, so that when I alloy this with something else, it'll be easier to get things right, won't it? Yeah, I mentioned it before. Copper does this. It absorbs gas when it gets molten, and then sort of ejects it, if you like, lets it go when it cools down, which is why you always get this surface. So you never see anything in cast copper. But having said that, we're going to have to cast a neck for my
still, because I gave my still away to someone, and I've got a rum batch cooking, in a barrel. So yeah, we need to do that at some point, in order to get a good smooth finish. So it's going to be big and round, so I can easily put it on the lathe. But you know, that just gives an indication of how much extra meat we need to leave ourselves in order to be able to turn it down and get a decent thickness, a decent finish, and still maintain a decent thickness. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Right. Okay. We'll probably try that with lost foam. Anyway, there's no rush. Just like the Foundry that's been ticking away in the background, out of sight. Just, you know, I've used it a few times for alley casting, but obviously Cooper alloys was always the intention with this build, and we got there in the end. But there's still some refinements I want to make, and obviously sorting out an area where it can be for Foundry and forging, and not just the throughway at the back of my shed, which always gets cluttered. Alright, so you'll see it again soon, and hopefully we'll do some more. I'm sure we'll have another little test run with some copper, maybe, isn't it? Alright, okay, hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you all later. Cheers, bye bye.